So it turns out I spent less time creating the painting on the right than I did on the one on the left, but somehow the one on the right looks so much better than the one on the left. And I did these two paintings within a year of each other, so I wanted to make a video of showing my improvement. And so in this video, I'm going to show you why the one on the left doesn't work, and then I film my entire process for the one on the right. So I'm going to show you what to do and how to create good paintings instead of ones that look like a mess like the one on the left. Okay, so let's talk about why this painting here does not work. So first, I'm going to talk about color unity, because there's no color unity in this painting. This color unity is when you repeat colors, and it helps the composition because it makes the painting look like it's all part of one landscape. And you can see the sky blue is completely different than the ocean blue, and that's a problem because it looks like the sky is part of a different landscape than the ocean. You don't want that. You want to mix similar colors. And so then you can also see the greens I used. The hills right here are a completely different green than the grass over here. And then the overall composition, everything you place in the landscape should be pointing towards something, or it should be doing something for the landscape. This is pointing towards nothing, and this is leading your eye off the page. This rock here was placed right by the edge, so it kind of leads the viewer off the page. And a way I could have made this a lot better was by putting a focal point hill in this cloud and these rocks all pointing towards this boat right here. The grass and this rock right here is still just, I shouldn't have put those there. These are all things that you should avoid in your painting, and so I'm going to show you what to do. This is what not to do, so I'm going to show you a painting that I did yesterday. So the first thing I did was I found a photo for a reference, because I didn't use a reference in the first painting I did. So I found this in my phone from when I went to Costa Rica. Then the first thing I did is I put it in black and white. So now I can see the values in this photo. So you can see here there's dark values here, and also here, and this guy right here. But I didn't add him to the painting. So then after that, what I did to see it a little bit better is I matched the value, and I basically just filled it in. Yeah, so this is what it looked like when I filled in all the values, and it's a lot easier to see the composition. And then I went ahead and made a couple changes from there. Just moved some things around. Like you can see, this is kind of going down a little further. I did end up moving this over a little bit. That way this dark area basically touched this lighter water, and that created a nice focal point in area of interest. I didn't end up adding a person over here. And then I basically changed the dapple light. So these dapple light are basically there to lead your eye into the painting. So yeah, I'm gonna get into the painting. So basically what I did first is I just copied this down onto the canvas in one color, and you'll see that here. So you want to start your painting with an underpainting, and I'm using a burnt sienna color. It's a really good mid-tone, and I covered the entire canvas in this color, and I just use a thin layer to start, and I add thicker layers on top to sketch out the composition. And for the composition, I'm literally just copying what I had in Photoshop. It's super easy. I definitely recommend doing this step, because it helps to have guidelines before you start painting. That way it just makes the rest of the painting so much easier. And I do add a couple different values. I did pull some paint off with my finger to add some brighter values, and then here I'm adding thicker paint for darker values. And yeah, doing this underpainting really helps differentiate values once you start blocking in color, because it's hard to know how bright or dark a color is that you're putting on a canvas unless you have something to compare it to. So now I'm at the block-in stage. I'm painting super general, and I'm not really worrying about details or specific colors. I'm more concerned with values. So I'm painting the darkest values first, and it's called the block-in stage obviously because you literally just block it in. You don't care about anything else. And once I got the really dark values in, it was super easy to choose the other values because I know, oh, I can just make them slightly brighter. So I went with the mid-tone next, making it slightly brighter than the dark values. And then after that, I added the third value. And once I have all three values on here, this is where you know whether or not you did it right, because now you can see, okay, there's three different values. There's a brighter one, a mid-tone, and a darker one. And this is where I realized that I made my beach a little bit too bright because it's very similar in value to the distant ocean value, but that's okay because later on I did go back and change the sand color. And then after that, after I fill in that, I fill in the hill in the background, and I just try and focus on keeping the value very similar to the water in the sky. And then I brighten the sky just slightly, and then then the whole canvas was filled in. So now it's time to basically go in with a smaller brush and detail everything. So I'm painting from general to specific, and here I'm just filling in the sky again, adding little details where the sky is showing through the trees, and then I add little clouds in the sky, and then I add details over the hills in the back where the trees are casting shadows. So yeah, it's just general to specific. Same thing with the ocean. I'm just adding everything I see. You'll notice that this painting does have way more color unity than the painting I did last year, and a way I achieved that easily was by using the same blue in every part of the painting. I used turquoise in the sky, in the water, and I mixed it into the sand color and the color of the green trees in the background as well. So in this process, what you're doing is taking each layer and making it slightly more like what the reference looks like with each layer that you add. But the good thing about this process is that each layer doesn't have to look exactly like the reference. It can look just a little bit more like the reference you're using. And each layer, if you add a lot of those layers, eventually it'll look super realistic with very low effort. And with this dappled light that I'm placing in the background, I'm being very careful with where I place the light so that it doesn't lead the viewer off the canvas, and instead it leads the viewer into the canvas where they can enjoy the focal point. And then right there, I'm doing something that I don't see a lot of artists do who paint in this style. I was just glazing a transparent white over the background, reducing the contrast, which makes it look that much further away. It also makes a misty effect where it looks like the waves are kind of creating a mist in the atmosphere. And then after that, I'm just still going into some more specifics. I'm making the painting a little bit more specific by adding detail to the trees and making some more rounded edges, and then adding a couple different values in there, but still keeping the values very dark because those are the dark areas of the painting, and you don't want to lose that. You want different sections, and those are darker sections of the painting. And then this is where I'm changing the sand finally, because the sand got a little bit close in value to the distant ocean color. And then unfortunately I dropped the canvas here. But then I end up, here I'm just going back and forth trying to find the right value that I like. And once I find it, I fill in the rest of the sand with that color. And so, yeah, so this stage of the painting is kind of like just go back and forth until you get the correct values and colors that make the painting look the most pleasing to look at. So I'm adding little refinements, and I'm going back and, you know, repainting those dazzled light areas, and adding, you know, just adding more specifics, more details, until it looks a lot more like the reference. And then, you know, it's good to try different things, and here I try brightening up that reflection between the water and the sand, but it doesn't end up looking very good, so I ended up darkening it again, and I'm adding my brightest highlight right there, and then bringing this tree down into the water a little bit, that way they overlap. And then after that, the painting is pretty much finished right there. And it's crazy, this painting didn't take any time. I think it took like an hour. Next time you paint a landscape, don't make the same mistakes I made with this painting. Instead, choose your composition wisely, and it helps to use a reference. And if you paint from general to specific, you can get results that look more like this. If you want to learn more from me for free, click the link in my description, and thank you for watching.